Images from Ukrainian military officials purport to show Ukrainian paratroopers taking out 2 Russian tanks with Javelin missile systems. The images appear to show one tank after it had been hit and a second one being destroyed. It is currently unclear where exactly the images were filmed, but they were obtained from the command of the assault troops of the armed forces of Ukraine. Ukraine, who said in a statement on Wednesday, soldiers of the 80th Separate Assault Brigade of the Air Assault Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine destroyed 2 modern Russian T-90 Vladimir tanks with a Javelin anti-aircraft missile system. The statement added, "We continue to perform combat missions and destroy Russian invaders. Death to the Russian occupiers." They signed off with the now famous slogan, "Slava Ukraini," which means glory to Ukraine. In related news, French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, and Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi arrived in Kiev on Thursday for talks. They are reportedly hoping to rebut what has been perceived as their lukewarm support for Ukraine. Meanwhile, Washington has told China it risks ending up on the wrong side of history following Chinese President Xi Jinping's assurances to Russian President Vladimir Putin that Beijing supports Russian sovereignty. Thousands of civilians remain trapped in the key eastern Ukrainian city of Severodonetsk, where the water supply is reported to be dwindling. Hundreds of civilians are taking shelter in the bunkers beneath the city's Azot chemical plant. Luhansk Oblast Governor Serhiy Haidai said earlier this week that all 3 bridges into Severodonetsk had been destroyed, making delivering supplies and evacuating civilians impossible. President Joe Biden has promised Kiev another $1 billion in security assistance and weapon, and General Mark Milley, who chairs the Joint Chiefs of Staff, says Russia has lost around 20 to 30% of its armored force during the ongoing invasion. Russia has suffered more military losses as one of its tanks failed desperately to escape a Ukrainian drone strike. In rare overhead footage, a Russian BMT-2 is filmed being blown up by Ukraine's 40th Artillery Brigade. The tank is first hit while hiding in the forest, where it bursts into flames. It then flees the scene desperately, with smoke billowing out of its rear. After a short time, the Russian crew appear to abandon the vehicle as it continues to burn. The tank is then seen destroyed on a dirt path by a nearby forest. Ukraine's 40th Artillery Brigade operates out of the city of Pervomaisk in the Luhansk region in eastern Ukraine. Fighting in the eastern regions has been fierce following Russia's withdrawal from Kiev towards areas closer to their homeland. Recent estimates from the Ukrainian armed forces suggest more than 32,000 Russian soldiers have died since Vladimir Putin's forces invaded on February 24. Their equipment losses also appear to be in the thousands as Ukraine looks to defend the Donbass. Ukraine said today its forces were still holding out inside Severodonetsk and trying to evacuate civilians after Russia destroyed the last bridge to the devastated eastern city in a potential turning point in one of the war's bloodiest battles. Ukrainian mayor of Severodonetsk, Alexander Struik, said the situation is very difficult, but there is communication with the city, despite the last bridge over the Seversky Donets River having been destroyed. He said Russian troops are trying to storm the city, but the military is holding firm. Ukraine says more than 500 civilians are trapped inside a chemical factory in an industrial zone of the city, where its forces have resisted weeks of Russian bombardment and assault. Both sides claim to have inflicted huge casualties in the fighting over the city. Ukraine still holds Lysychansk, Severodonetsk twin city, on higher ground on the opposite bank, but with all the bridges now cut, its forces acknowledge a risk they could be encircled if they remain. Russia's separatist proxies said any Ukrainian troops left behind must surrender or die. In an overnight address, President Volodymyr Zelensky described the battle for the eastern Donbas region as one of the most brutal in European history. Bigger battles could also lie ahead for the wider Ukrainian-held pocket of the Donbas, nearly all on the opposite bank of the river, which Russian forces have found difficult to cross. Ukraine says Russia is massing to assault Sloviansk from the north and along a front near Bakhmut to the south.